Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. You know, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing the fact that they're saying that Trump still has a chance to save his legacy. Right now, as if he haven't ruined his legacy already. They're stating that, hey, Trump still have a chance to save his legacy. Like how? What could he possibly do to save his legacy? And that's called white privilege. No matter how outrageous Trump is in the statements that he's made, the actions that he's took, the racism, they're still saying if he stopped what he's doing now, he could save his legacy. Like Trump is hurting them from giving Trump, i.e., the white man, honors. You know, they're saying, Trump, you're making us look bad. We want to save your legacy. No, we know you've done a lot, but still, hey, we can write about you great in history. We can fix this thing up. You're the president. We gotta look out for each other. So can you stop? Because the whole world is looking at what you're doing. You're tearing down democracy, but can you stop so we can write something good about you and save your legacy, and i.e. make the white man look good as though he has no blemish or no fault. And it's like, come on, stop it. You're making yourselves look worse than Trump. But that's what that is. I just wanted to say that before we get into today's show. And today's show will be titled, "What Are You Fighting For?" And also the Black Timeline. So we'll start with what are we fighting for? Really, I mean, honestly, as the individual listener, right? And you don't have to respond to this question, just only within your mind. Ask yourself, just look in the mirror and ask yourself, or answer these questions for yourselves while looking in the mirror, right? Are you fighting for pride? To show that your ancestors existed and you are proud of them and you're proud of who you are because you are a descendant of your ancestors, and you're not going to bend and fold and be other than yourself at the sight of fear from your colonizers. So you fight to stand strong, right? Or do you fight for the next generation because you want them to experience a world of peace and opportunities for them to achieve whatever they put their minds to, and you're going to create a equal playing field for the next generation? Are you fighting for justice because you knew of a loved one who didn't receive justice and got treated unfairly, so you said, you know what, let me go out and do whatever I can to make sure another melanated person doesn't get treated the same way as my family member, right? Are you fighting for your wife to where she can go into corporate environment and not be harassed and subject to over-the-top sexual jokes by the white manager or owner of the company, and has to sit there and take it just so she can get a check and put food on the table? Or why are you fighting for your husbands at the fact that he has to take the crap coming from racist colonists who wants to treat him less than a man and tries to treat a grown man as a boy, and he has to stand there and take it because he don't want to lose his employment? So you fight for to end systemic racism and equal pay for minorities, i.e., quote unquote minorities, right? I mean, what's the reason are you in this thing for? Because you go across the globe, I don't care where you at. Racism in Puerto Rico, racism in the Middle East, racism in Brazil, racism in Panama, and I'm talking about amongst the natives, the original people that was already there, right? The dog people in all of these different countries. Racism, racism, racism. Now let's get into a bit of history, right? And dealing with the mindset that black people have that started in the past, but is still prevalent in today's time, right? Check this out. You had the black Native Americans who all up and through Mississippi, through New York, through Texas, all the way through Mexico, Veracruz, who been here, right? Now, the conqueror were, i.e., you could say the Romans and the Spanish, who made their way to the Americas and conquered the black tribes, right? Mixed in with the Native women, and that's how you get these different shades of Native Americans and Hispanics. We know that history, right? That's the black Native Americans. Then you had the blacks who were brought to America on the slave ships. They had it the worst because they were removed from their homeland into a strange place, and they couldn't swim 9,000 miles, right? Or they couldn't swim to get back to the continent of Africa. So they stuck over here. And so they had to stick together and rely on each other for survival because they were like outcasts. You on a strange land. You couldn't speak the language of the people. Some couldn't speak the language of the people that were already here to make that connection. And you were, on your own. You felt alone. You couldn't. You couldn't continue to do the things that you normally did back on your homeland. The food was different. The vegetation, in a sense, was different. You had to learn a whole new way of life, and that's the blacks who were brought over here on the slave ship, right? Then you had the Moors who lost the war in Granada in Spain, and many came to the Americas. Some was already here, and these Moors had the right to the Sultan of Morocco, so he can create the 1790 Sundry Act, Sundry Act, in order for the Moors to be treated as equal as whites in America, right? I.e., which was if you look up the term of white, they would have North Africa where the Moors came, because the Moors civilized the white man. So actually they were calling the Moors white, even though they were heavy melanated, but they, i.e., was using the term white to describe the Moors, right? Now check it. You're a Moor, right? You used to luxury, wealth, living a certain luxurious lifestyle, right? But then when the Caucasian was like, look, man, and this is what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened. He said, look, man, I can't tell the difference between a black Native American, the black African who just came over here on a slave ship, and the Moors, right? Because you can put on the garment of either one and jump right in ranks, and he couldn't look at you and tell who was different. So he said, you know what? We'll just enslave them all. Treat them all as slaves. To hell with that 1790 Sundry Act. We're going to treat you just like we're going to treat the black Native Americans that was already here before Columbus got here. We're going to treat you just like the black that just came from Africa. Because in white folks' eyes, they don't see no difference in their blacks. They all the same. Now black people might know the difference, and you might know where certain attitudes come from. Check it. The black Native American, of course, he's going to fight harder than the Moor and the black that came from, let's say, West Africa, right? Because this has always been his land. So, of course, it's going to take more to make him submit because he knows the land, he knows the territory, right? He's not going to be dominated on his own land. That's why the Native Americans fought harder than anybody because, hell, you came into their home. Of course, they're going to fight. They don't want your education, right? They don't want your religion. They don't want nothing you had to offer because the colonizer, when I say I'm talking about the colonizer. The colonizer will always be an enemy to the Native Americans due to the fact that they disrupted their way of living and they stole their land, right? Due to the harsh treatment. The black who came to the Americans on the slave ship from Africa, his motto will always be stay low, keep your head down, and try to survive and do as much as you can until the day of your death, till you check out of here. Right. Don't get into any trouble because we're at their mercy. Right. The Moor will always think of, hey, look, man, we got to find a way to get back to our status of rulership before we fail. Right. This is our Constitution. We know the laws. Right. We know how to use numbers as far as mathematics, and we need to build our wealth so we can get back and be in control of the empire. Right. So when you put all three together, you'll have one who will say, you're going to have to learn this legal system and you're going to have to create something for yourselves, i.e. as far as economic wise, in order to buy land, and let's create our own culture on our own land. All right. Then you have the black Native Americans. It's like, well, hell, this is our land. This is our reservations. Is ours. We need to take back control of our things, and you all need to unite with us and let's build because we're really at home. Our home was stolen from us, right? Then you got the blacks who coming out of Africa that was enslaved. Basically, or like, they had it the worst because, hey, when we tried to run away to freedom, really, where was we running to? Because all of this whole continent is America, so it's not Africa. So, what do we do? They had a history with the colonizer. Look, man, this man cut the babies out of stomachs of women. These men decapitated men. These men killed us for no reason, right? Why? Because they wanted to instill fear within them, and they wanted to control them with their religion. Right. So it'll be hard to unite because most of the blacks that came to the Americas from Africa, most of them are Christians. Right. Most of the Moors are Muslims. And then the black Native American, right? They still following on the old tradition of honoring Mother Nature, right? But not realizing that part of Islam is in that as well, right? So how do we unite all of that? Because I don't have the answer. I'm just putting it on the table. How do we unite as one, or what would be the common denominator for us to unite? Because we still holding on to our tribal differences, although the colonizers see us all as one and inflict the same amount of pain no matter what you call yourself or where you're from. So really the only obstacle that's in our way from uniting and building is two. Because we have the finances, 1.3 trillion, right? But it's religious ideology that separates us, because all of us are saying that this religion or what we choose is the right way, right? Now, y'all know where I'm going, right? If you listen to this show, you know where I'm going. Now, Ms. Farrakhan stated that, and the Nation of Islam states that, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that God came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad and gave the Honorable Elijah Muhammad a specific type of knowledge and instructions in which he shared it with Malcolm. He shared it with Mr. Farrakhan, Jeremiah Shabazz. He shared it with Supreme Shabazz Allah. He shared it with Brother Clarence 13X. I mean, he shared it with so many great men, right? And then people started moving on knowledge, getting it together, moving, steady building, steady growing, steady building, steady growing, steady building, steady growing, right? But then you got other sects who don't adhere to that knowledge because they have their way of thinking and they have their way of belief or their own belief system, right? So the question is, how to unite as one with all of these different ideologies, right? Because we understand that there's a need to do business and unite, because we see the success that that the Chinese or the Asian people are having in Chinatown, right? We see little Greek town, little Italy. We see these different Armenians and Lebanon communities come together and build and create something for their people. And we see how successful it is, so we know it works. We just need a catalyst or something that will pull us together. Right, a glue, something that an umbrella, something that we can unite upon. Right, now we do come together worldwide after a police killing of an unarmed black man or woman. Right, but that's a heavy price to pay to unite. A white man has to kill a black man, especially in particular a white police officer, in order for us to unite for that one moment, right, around the world. Then as time marches forward, we slowly go back to our respective tribes, and we're back debating each other again, right? So we need something, and we need a way to where once we jail, we stay jailed and see the value in that, right? So what's a good common denominator? Love. Yeah. Yeah. Just love for yourself, love for who you are, the individual, right? If you love you, right, then you have to know you. You have to know everything about you, right? You love the blood that flows through your veins, right? Okay. You love the muscles that's in your body, right? You know, you love you as an individual, right? Okay. Then that means you also would love that universal gift, one of the oldest substances on the planet. That's called melanin. You know, once you get to that level, right, of melanin, the love of melanin, the oldest substance that's in this universe, but yet it's a part of you, whether you the darkest of the darkest or the lightest of the lightest, you have that within your genetic makeup. Then that means you can respect and love any melanated being on this planet, right? And then that would generate the love. Each individual love whatever degree of melanin you have in your being, right? And then respect whatever level of degree of melanin any black person or melanated person you see, right? Whether it be the darkest of the darkest or the lightest of the lightest, respect that melanin because you love your melanin. How you gonna love the amount of melanin you have but hate the amount of melanin another person has when melanin just is melanin? Right? We might try that on that wise, right? And maybe that would generate respect. And then you would say, wait a minute, whoa. If I'm a melanated being, right, and God blessed me with the oldest substance that's in this universe titled melanin, then I got a duty, I got an obligation to live a certain way. I have to do certain things. I have to carry myself a certain way. I'm blessed with the gift of the gods. You know, that changed the whole scope and outlook on the way we see life. I got to start building. I got to pick myself up. I got to start increasing where I'm at. Hey, goddamn, if I got 500 in the bank, I need to turn it to 1,000. You know, if I'm investing $100, I need to turn it to $500. If I'm investing in the stocks, I'm going to have to grab some of this cryptocurrency like Brother Low Key be talking about, blockchain. I got to start educating myself, right? I got to have my community and where I stay look a certain way. It got to reflect me. You know, if I'm bougie, if I'm Gucci, if I'm player, if I'm balling, if I'm all this, then your inhabitant has to look like that. You can't say I'm doing it big. Look at my car and look at my shoes and look what I'm doing, but yet you living in the shack. Nah, you got some vegetation out there, man. You got some grass out there. You got some flowers and some roses out there. You know what I mean? You got, you reflecting the universe. You reflecting nature. When people come around you, they should be pleasant and feel pleasant. Now, I understand that depression because it was a depression. Think about it, man. Think about it. Okay, let's put it like this. Let's reverse it. But I'm using this only in the context of Africa, though, right? But let's reverse it. Say your grandma, you say all those who knew their grandmother, right? You remember going to her house Thanksgiving or Christmas or the holidays, right? You remember her getting you gifts before she passed, right? You remember the land, the house she stayed in, the flowers she had. You remember the locusts or the crickets and the way they used to. You remember the sound that surrounded your grandmother's house. You knew the feel. You knew you was at your grandmother. They can be driving you with your eyes closed, and when they get in proximity to your grandmother's house, your energy, your body lets you know where you at. You already know it, even just by the smell, right? She's gone. You remember spending time with your mother, right? And then yourself, right? Then somebody picks you up and take you to China and drop you off, right? Of course you're going to be depressed because you're not seeing your family no more. You're not smelling the same smells anymore. You're not seeing the same vegetation. The food's not going to even taste the same. And on top of that, you don't speak Chinese, so you don't know what the hell they saying. You just there. But you got to survive under that depression, right? And then you have a child. You're gonna pass that depression on down to that next generation, because that's all you knew, and that's what you knew how to teach. Then they gonna pass the same old depression down to their children of that. I'm stuck in a place I don't want to be here, so I'm barely breathing. I'm barely alive. I'm not gonna get up and do too much because this is not my home. And they pass it on to generations, right? And so people would say, well, damn, man, how come years pass, hundreds of years pass, and certain communities still look the same? Because that depression been passed down for generation to generation to generation, right? And it's hard to lift that depression, right? And replace that depression with sunlight, right? Of a renewed mind to go and build from the place where you currently at, right? So one, that has to be fixed. We can't pass down no more depression to no more generations, because as Minister Farrakhan stated, their time for rule is up. You got to start building yourself up now. That's a done deal. That depression can't be passed on. Okay, now let's go in the context of the Moors, right? It's okay, so let's put yourself in a position where you was rich. I mean, you built, say black people, you say, okay, put it like this. Say you went out somewhere, black folks went out somewhere and got them, say 1,000 acres, right? And on that 1,000 acres, you done build a marvelous school. You build wonderful mosques, a church. You street. I mean, in comparison to any other neighborhoods around you, there is no comparison. Money just flowing, right? Knowledge flowing. I mean, it's the golden days, right? Right? Then all of a sudden, war comes, right? And you lose the war, and you lose everything that you built, right? They round up some and put them in prison camps. They send some to Africa, i.e. Lagos, right? Then some come to the Americas, right? But you're not in your fine garments. Now they put you in slavery, and you wearing rags. But in your mind, you remember when you used to rule, so you pass that knowledge on to your children, even though we down right now, right? Damn it, there was a time we ruled everything. We kings, we queens. You better pick yourself up and keep striving and building until you get back on top, right? I.e., remember this now. The white boy knows all about you, so he know about each tribe. He knows. So he knows what to do to get in the way, to cause obstacles, so you don't get to the desired goal in your mind, right? That's why you have to be twice as smart. But anyway, so as more as you remember You remember when you was sitting on the court benches and the judges, and you remember, like, hey, this colonizer wouldn't be nothing here if we didn't teach him. But yet, we not running the show. Yet we broke, poverty, right? And still victims of police brutality, right? Then look at the black Native Americans that was already here, right? I mean, think about this, how what they're passing down to their children, right? Because you can tell in the different attitudes when you go to different sides of town, the different cities, or you talk to different people, and you ran into these mindsets before, and you might be wondering, where the hell these mindsets come from? But we telling you where these mindsets came from. So it's not say you was the black Native Americans that was here, right? For years, this was just your land. You knew every square inch of this land. You knew where the water holes was. You knew where the best fishing holes, where the deer was, the best hunting grounds. This was your land, right? Then somebody comes and say, you know what? I'm going to remove you from your land, and you go over here to this reservation that I put you on, and I'm finna enjoy your hunting grounds and your best fishing spots, and I'm finna take everything you had, and I'm finna and cultivate that into myself. And you gonna sit and watch me parade around in your stuff while you starving now, while you enslaved now, right? While you broken now, right? So you teaching your children, look, when you got something, don't tell nobody. You got something good, you keep it for yourself and you hide it, right? Yeah, because if they find out you got it, they gonna come take it from you, right? Hoard this, hide this, right? Be quiet here. Don't speak too much here. Don't let them know what you thinking or you're planning, because if they find out, they going to come take it from you. They going to come try and destroy you, right? And they talking about the colonizer. So you passing on that mindset to your child. So you got 3 different mindsets on one continent they call America. Right, in one country they call America, and I'm not necessarily talking about Central and South America, even though they went through the same thing. But still, I'm talking about the North America, and you're going through that, right? And it's like, damn, So when we meet each other, we fighting against 3 different mindsets, because each mindset has been taught and trained not to like the other mindset. So when you meet somebody and they whisper and they say, well, I really don't, talk out loud because you never know who's listening. And some would be like, damn, that person is crazy. Now, these are all survival techniques, because they were there when they realized that the colonizer was spying on them, and that's how they knew when to move in and kill their whole village. And that's just been passed down through genetic coding or DNA. So they naturally that way, and it hasn't been relieved, right? Or i.e., the more, man, look, hoard up, get as much wealth as you can, because you might have to buy your freedom. You might have to pay somebody off. You might have to get you some land in case you got to flee. You got to have you a bag up this, a bag up that. And they meet somebody with the other mindset, say, man, this dude crazy. Don't you know when you die, you can't take it all with you? And he like, what you talking about? These are survival skills, Or the black African. Look, don't get close to nothing that came over here as a slave. That'll say, look, don't cherish anything. Don't hold on to anything. Because one day you're here, the next day you're gone. You can't take what you acquired on this planet with you when you die. Don't worry about it. All you can do is live and hope that God see favor on you, and hope one day you can make it into Him. Because that's all they had. Because they took everything. They took the land. They took their language. They took their names. They took their religion. All they had was just their being. Just themselves. That was it. Nothing to hold on to. So they didn't hold on to nothing. Because, hell, to let the colonizer know, what can you take from me? Hell, I ain't got nothing. All I got is the God. So that was a mindset that was passed down from generation to generations to generation. So the thing is, how do we get up out from under all these mindsets and unite and treat each other fairly, stop the violence and the killing? How can we make that happen? I don't know, but I'll be having guests on this show that can answer some of these questions, or we'll at least have a dialogue on it. At least we can converse on some of these to see what's the best plan, or what can we actually do to get rid of these poisonous mindsets. And I'm sorry, y'all. Hey, if you don't understand that Bible, then it will reinforce certain mindsets of slave turn the other cheek and so to where you won't really get the fullness of life if you don't understand it. That's just what it is, because it's still that same sentiment of keep quiet, master coming, you better behave, and all of this right here. You know how I know? Because whenever there's election time and then the pastor bring them white folk into the church looking for your vote, everybody on their best behavior. Treat each other like nothing the whole year. But soon as them white folk come up in the church, they treat them white folks like they Jesus, like the white Jesus. Like the white boys say, hell, America, this God's country, and since we in the image of God and you see Jesus white, then we can do whatever we want to do to any melanated minority person that's in America. And then they warp mind. They actually believe that. And they try to carry the practices out. That's why you saying, well, damn, all this brutality and racism, why they don't see me as they equal? Because in their mindset, Jesus was white. And since you not white, they feel like they don't have to treat you in a certain way, particular way. And they fail to realize that Jesus wasn't white. Michelangelo just depicted him as being white by painting his nephew, but Jesus wasn't from Europe. So he couldn't have been white. So, hey, and the games continue. Verbal Prick Radio, we're out.